personally, the question of attendance should not, I believe, be seen as something that is local to JNU. Okay. So there is a broader logic that is being applied, increasingly applied, and it falls within that ambit. Therefore, yes, there is an attack on JNU, we are surviving, we are resisting that kind of an assault, all that is there. But yet, we must not dissociate ourselves from the broader logic that is in operation. Alright. Therefore, I would like to make a small and a quick presentation basing the problem of attendance on in the larger critique of privatization of education. I think it is there where the problem is, for me. I mean, you can argue it from various vantage points, but I will be using this vantage point. Okay. Does that mean that before this ongoing processes of privatization in the contemporary world and in contemporary India, did the question of attendance or the problem of attendance exist before, say in pre-modern societies, okay, or something like that, in educational institutions? But I would like to say at the outset that it is important for us to differentiate between the two. That operated in a very different logical framework, and this is a completely new or a different framework. Alright? So one must differentiate. There are different historical evidences as to how the inbuilt system in some of our feudal societies itself had this requirement, maybe not necessarily talking in terms or speaking in terms of attendance per se, but yes, your physical presence was, necessary in some of the erstwhile or modern institutions which imparted education as well. Okay, not all of them, but definitely there's a lot of evidence which says. So, but yet, this requirement at present should be differentiated from the erstwhile. So what is then at the heart of privatization of education? I'm going to be repetitive. Of course, we know that the heart of privatization of education is the process where education itself becomes a commodity. Now, what is a commodity? It's being produced for the purposes of market. So it's operating on the logic of, profit maximization. And also, of course, the ideological accompaniment is increasing choice. That is how it defends itself, right? That you have more choices of courses that you can offer, that you can take these days than, say, 20 years or 30 years before. So, of course, the ideological accompaniment is that of increasing choice available. So, basically, why should we think of commodification seriously? Because what commodification does is, it's just not that you're producing education for the purposes of market, but it actually tinkers with what constitutes education itself. Now that's the problem, right? It is not just about selling what exists, being able to sell what exists, but changing the content of education itself. The processes of privatization, to which you see commodification is central, changes the content of what qualifies as education itself over a period of time. So therefore, whatever does not sell or whatever is not compatible to the market, say for example your courses in economic thought, alright, okay, you're not able to sell it to get a job. So all those kinds of things are going to be undermined and something else will be kind of valorized. Okay, so there is a definite structure to it, that some things very systematically get undermined, especially the critical aspects of education. Okay. Very systematically it gets undermined, and you see some other aspects of education tend to get valorized. Alright. Now, the second thing that I want to say is that this process has a very interesting angle to it. Okay, the interesting angle is that it has a certain emancipatory potential. And what is that emancipatory potential? I would say that it horizontalizes different streams of education. For example, why does it do so is also worth thinking about. See, nowadays what happens is, because of these ongoing processes of privatization of education, what we have is like, we have courses like fashion designing, hotel management, hairdressing, or so on and so forth. We don't only have courses along those lines, but the way we measure the worth of these courses is brought on par. Okay, so it is very interesting that most of our educational institutions, which used to have this elitist character, generally, so at least some of them, okay, now you see what will happen is, over a period of time, because the yardsticks that measure the worth of what constitutes education are going to be similar. You can have poets, you can have fashion designers, you can have scientists sharing the platform, which for our society or any kind of feudal, more or less feudal society, wherein the processes of modernization began much later. All right, you see, this can be very emancipatory in itself, because we know how it gets measured. It's around your exchange value, right? Therefore, it's okay. I mean, for us, generally a fashion designer whom you could be equating with a tailor nowadays is not so. We don't speak of a fashion designer in the same way, all right? But then his capacity to earn or to make money is on par with, or sometimes much more, with what a scientist is doing. And both can be on par. The yardsticks that measure value are the same. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. And therefore, you see that, I mean, this is true that this particular mode of production does this. All right. There is a certain horizontalization that happens. But this doesn't mean that it's liberating. It's liberating in the sense, it's emancipatory in the sense, but it's not actually, because you see what it does apart from this is that to this process of horizontalization is tied a process of verticalization. Like, say for example, you may have newer courses like fashion designing or hairdressing, shoemaking and so on, but at the same time, each of this course or each of these new forms of education, which we call vocationalization generally, that's what it is. So which is called as vocationalization. You see, there is an inbuilt verticalization from within each of these courses and to the existing forms of education. You have an increasing verticalization that happens. Alright, and this verticalization happens along which lines? The abstract is constantly being separated from the applied. Alright, and therefore you see that the abstract and the applied are not just separated, increasingly separated from one another, but they are also hierarchically arranged. Okay, so the more abstract, the more kind of a course you engage in, the more lucrative the career you may have. Okay, so it is definitely vertically arranged or hierarchically organized. Say for example, if you're doing a course in fashion, it's only some students end up actually doing design. Lot of them do, marketing, some of them do dyeing. So it is always like that, and all these 3 or 4 sub-disciplines within that are never thought to be on par. Okay, and of course, I do not want to get into it because beyond the point, the abstract and its connection with capital, or how you can capitalize on that, that also matters. But let me not get into that. We are talking about attendance. But what I'm trying to say is, once this separation, which is so intrinsic to this process, happens more and more, you see that basically more number of applied courses will definitely be seen as pursuing education. Okay, and therefore what happens is the character of this applied course itself is such wherein your presence or attendance becomes necessary. Okay, and it becomes easier to impose, because if you're learning a skill, then actually doing it is something that is required, and therefore inherently such processes have this tendency